Moblins are these little pig-dog goblin monsters that have been in pretty much every game. Even if you aren't a Zelda fan, if I show you this picture and say this is a Moblin, you can probably understand intuitively that he's a basic low-level soldier in Ganon's army. Moblin is an anglicization of the original Japanese term Moriburin. This is a portmanteau of the Japanese word mori, which means forest, and goburin, which is a Japanese pronunciation of the English word goblin. So Moblin literally means forest goblin. If you've ever played Japanese RPGs, have you noticed how their orcs are often pigmen, even though in the West, orcs are green-skinned barbarians? The earliest Western fantasy games based off of D&D, like Ultima and Wizardry, were hugely popular in Japan, and they heavily influenced the first Japanese fantasy games, Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. In D&D First Edition, things weren't exactly clear on what was supposed to be what. For example, these are official First Edition orc miniatures, showing them to have pig-like features. When Ultima and Wizardry were created, exactly what orcs looked like hadn't been cemented in D&D or in terms of the wider culture yet, and they went off of the earliest depictions, which changed in the West over time. Newer Western games used these newer depictions from newer versions of D&D, but Japanese fantasy games are directly descended from Wizardry and Ultima, which both use the old designs. Further complicating the matter is that orc and goblin are used interchangeably when talking about the creatures in Lord of the Rings, which D&D was based off of. But in Japan, since their entire Western fantasy canon came from Ultima and Wizardry, orcs and goblins remained as interchangeable terms. It also helped that in Japanese mythology, there was a creature called the Butato, a barbarian pigman who wore armor and used spears. The Butato look very similar to the original depiction of orcs in the first edition of D&D, which is why in the Zelda series, the Moblins, forest goblins, have pig-like qualities and use spears, and why orcs in other Japanese games and anime are pigmen.